Well, thank you for the delightful introduction. Today, we are talking about something that is both futuristic and timeless. Something that existed even before we had a word for it. We are talking about innovation. Now, some of you might think, great, I've heard this 1,000 times before, and you might be right. That's why we decided to challenge you, because at the end of this talk, you might have a whole new perspective on the topic, or you might just ask yourselves, what the hell did I just witness? Either way, we are diving right in with a question. What comes to your mind when you hear the term innovation? It could be things like artificial intelligence or robotics, or it might even be the colonization of Mars. But what does this slightly overused buzzword actually mean? Well,
Innovation, from the Latin innovare, meaning to renew or to make new. It's the introduction of something new, a new idea, method, or device.
Whatever she just said. Anyway, innovation is basically the implementation of a new idea. And quite thankfully, we all have those. And I'm almost certain that some of you, including myself, have had this one before.
We should buy a bar.
Oh, we should totally buy a bar.
Totally buy a bar.
Right. Only problem with the thought of opening up a new bar is that there are already a lot of bars out there. And when I say a lot, I actually mean a lot like a lot. So it would be neither new nor quite innovative, unless we were to do something that no one has ever done before. For example, if we were to open the first ever cowboy space crypto bar with furries in maid costumes serving only bourbon matcha latte.
Getting off track.
I'm sorry.
Excuse him. He tends to do that sometimes. Anyway, I would say we refocus for a second. Because we asked ourselves, can anyone be innovative? Some would probably say no. They would claim you need to be a genius or an expert in something. But we think that's not always true.
Because most of the time, innovation isn't about big inventions. It's about seeing a problem and deciding to fix it. If the problem was already solved, the idea would not be needed. So for real innovation, you first need a problem. And problems, well, we are surrounded by them every day.
Here's one simple example. My friend Franzi and I send each other videos about our daily lives. A few weeks ago, I get this one.
I just finished my shift today, and I'm so tired. And you know what really got on my nerves today? It was stupid tape. I was trying to secure an IV line on a patient's arm, and I was fumbling with it the whole time. The patient kept staring at me, and then he just did it himself. Can you imagine how embarrassing that was? Well, anyways, I hope your day was a lot better than mine.
Okay, I think you caught on to a problem. And the solution for that is actually pretty simple. A tape dispenser, a medical tape dispenser. But wait, that already exists. So why isn't it being used?
I don't know. Do you want me to guess?
Guess? No, not guess. Okay. Oh, that was super helpful. Anyway, we built one. A refillable tape dispenser. And all we needed was someone with a 3D printer. Of course, not every solution is quite that simple, especially not in medicine. You see, medical problems, well, they tend to be more complicated. And you often only notice them when you're deep in the field yourself.
And for that, we would like to share a story with you. A personal one, to be honest. A while ago, during my clinical rotations in the ICU, they brought in an elderly woman. She had collapsed, her heart had stopped. Cardiac arrest. So the team jumped in, started resuscitation, and they succeeded. So you might think right now, that's great, she made it, thank God she's alive. But she came back with broken ribs, heart failure, brain damage. In general, poor condition. And it was only the moment when the real issue began, because moments later, her husband arrived at the hospital, carrying her patient's directive. One that clearly stated, do not resuscitate. She didn't want to be resuscitated. But by then, it was too late. She was intubated, alive, awake, yet unable to speak. She couldn't remember the event, let alone the ride to the hospital. But after a while, she understood where she was, what happened to her. And she remembered her living will, her wishes. I don't know if you ever had someone ask you to end their life, but that moment never leaves you. And all of it could have been avoided if a directive had been available in the moment it was actually needed the most.
I think the problem here is pretty obvious. All we needed now was a solution. And the one we came up with was quite straightforward. We wanted to build a digital registry where doctors could just check if such a directive is available for their patients. Easy. At least that's what we thought first. Until things started to get, I'd say, rather complex. I'm talking about legal issues, ethical questions, medical responsibilities, and the list just keeps going on. Either way, this tiny little solution turned into a bottomless rabbit hole that no one could have ever built alone.
And that, right there, is the moment where most people give up. But this is actually where real change begins, because you don't have to do everything alone. You can find the right people that have the skills, the experience, or simply just the right mindset that's needed. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a space, a room, a table, if you will, in a super special bar, where students with different backgrounds, different skills, come together to share thoughts and stories like the one we just heard, in order to build solutions that actually matter.
Some people might say medical students are uncreative. But we don't think so. We just think we have forgotten how to be. We are trained to memorize, know the answer, not to question. But real innovation starts right there, when someone dares to ask a question that no one has ever asked before.
So, what's the takeaway? Don't walk through life with your eyes closed. Notice problems around you. Dare to be creative. I mean, let's be honest. What's the worst that could happen to you? And when you get to the point where you can't do it alone, ask for help, especially your friends. Because innovation is not a talent. It's a mindset. And it always starts when someone stops and says, this cannot stay the way it is. Because anyone can be innovative. Thank you.